It's a Tuesday edition here on Zero Blog 30. And
sure
today
isn't.
We have, what?
Sure isn't.
Oh,
Said
Friday.
It's a Tuesday edition.
Fuck me. I got Firewatch. I'll do it.
You just ruined a lot of people's.
I did.
A quick second. Like,
Oh
wait,
my
what?
God.
I mean, thinking it's Friday and I say it's Tuesday. What a piece of shit. Especially if you're one of those folks that start listening at like 4 o'clock in the morning on your way to work. You're like, this bitch is pissing me off already. And he hasn't even read the rounds yet. It's a Friday edition here on Zero Blog 30. Round number 1. There's father-son drama after the father accuses his would-be political son about lying his dick off regarding being a nuclear submarine officer and an attorney. Ha ha! Ha ha! That son of a bitch. Round number 2, North Korea is acting the fool in several different ways. North Korea has pulled, I think North Korea is the hamstring pull of countries, where they're just constantly getting on your nerves. They never go away. They flare up at any given time. I think it's a perfect analogy that they're the hamstring
really
of countries.
I would
And the
say
worst part-
hemorrhoids.
Well, the worst part about a hamstring injury is you can't really do anything for it. You got to
Right.
just kind of rest it, so you can't like proactively do anything to get it better. You just got to leave it alone.
You've already massaged it out. You've already done
Yep.
as many things as you possibly can, and it's still there. You just got to wait. You just got to wait
As
till...
long as we can agree America is the tits.
Yes.
We've had a lot of work done.
I mean, we do
We're a
have a
little
little bit of
fake.
a
We're
duck.
a
We
little
might have a
fake.
duck clog though. For the tit, we got a little bit of a duck clog, I think.
But we're still hot.
We're still hot. It's just, we still got a dynamite
Respectfully.
nipple. A dynamite nipple.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
the best nips. Round number 3. Sergeant Major Elon Musk is whipping his new recruits into shape in a way that would make Major Payne proud. Maybe he's so hardcore that he would even make Colonel Nathan R. Jessup proud, which is saying something.
Oh.
And round number 5, we got another plane drawing dicks, folks, and this time it's a big old fuck you to Russia, which I like. I like having a dick in the sky by Russia, letting them know what's up, that we're still out here, we still got B-52s, and we could drop whatever the fuck we want to on you. Ain't shit you could do about it. I like that. Now that Russia, we know that they're not a near peer, I feel like we should just be peacocking all over the place. Peacocking, just peacocking. All right, let's get going with the show today. We're going to start because we got a busy show. We're going to start with round number 1. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at WhistlePig. Bonnie and Clyde, Butch Cassidy and Sundance, Brady and Gronk, but the next legendary duo is WhistlePig's Piggyback Rye and their new Piggyback 100% bourbon. If you haven't tried it yet, you need to. It's my favorite bourbon in the biz and my favorite rye. I love the rye for a long time. Piggyback is the affordable option. It's so good. I mean, you're not going to find another bottle of whiskey and this same price point that's as good. And it's not just because they're the presenting partner. If you go back to like 2016, I used to do a series called Fancy Boy, and I said there that WhistlePig is the best whiskey that there is. I've loved it for a long, long time, and you will too if you just give it a try. Make sure you go to whistlepig.com. To get some, you're going to go to shop.whistlepig.com or go to a local retailer to get it. It's 100% for all for 100. Piggyback 100% rye and Piggyback 100% proof bourbon is 100% the good stuff. Get your bottle at shop.whistlepig.com or at a local store. You're not going to regret it. What do we got here, Catherine?
I got to tell you, I don't care, Democrat, Republican, whatever. If you've got family drama going on, honey.
Delicious.
I want to.
That's like peach tea, drinking it
Oh,
down.
buddy. It's a treat.
Time out. If that's your cup of tea, which I don't know why I'm acting like I'm new to this. I know that's your cup of tea. Have you had a chance yet to watch the documentary on Hulu about Jerry Falwell Jr.?
Oh, I cannot wait. We
buddy.
have it because we had a talk last night and we were like, let's put it on Friday.
All right.
So
Yeah,
I want to
wait.
talk. This is a story that I should have a lot of insight on as a former seminarian. I am so pumped to watch this. We almost watched it last night. It's like, this is a special Friday kind of thing because I'm going to really enjoy the Pool
Let's
Boy
chat
story.
about that next week once you both have had a chance to really dive into it.
Kate, have you watched it?
I watched little parts of it last night, but Pat was in the other room watching it while I was watching the Phillies lose. But yeah, so I saw little tidbits, and my goodness, what a spicy little nugget that is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah, let's keep going.
A Democratic candidate for the state house in Washington is involved in an ongoing feud with his family about the veracity of his military service. The father of Clyde Shavers, Democratic
Automatically
candidate,
red flag. Your name is Clyde, red flag.
big, I'll say it, huge red flag.
Huge.
The father of Clyde Shavers, he's a candidate for Washington State's 10th legislative district, claims in a recently published letter that his son lied about the details of his service in the Navy. Clyde Shavers has run on a platform emphasizing his service in the Navy, as every veteran running for office fucking does. Here's me in a jet plane, even though I didn't fly jet planes.
And
I'm
almost
running for
everybody
Congress
gets
in a
made
jet
fun of.
plane.
They get made fun of.
Yes.
Almost
That's
everybody.
by military people, but civilians think it's cool as shit. It does work.
It does,
anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, he's claiming to have been installed as a nuclear submarine office, a position which requires a great amount of training and 3 separate courses.
I fucked
Brett
that up. It was a Marine submarine officer is what I fucked that up.
Brett Shavers, a former Marine, went on to dismiss any notions that his son served proudly in the military, going so far as to say Clyde Shavers has a disdain for enlisted service
Wow,
members.
he's really going the other way with that. He's like, hey, he's such a stereotypical officer that he hates the enlisteds.
And this guy was an enlisted Marine. The dad was an enlisted Marine.
Yep. I can already
He tells me
picture-
to address him as sir when he comes down on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
My son came down the stairs and he was like, hey there, fucking kitchen gloves. And I was like, what? Not me.
Clyde has only disdain for the military. I have seen Clyde's use of veteran status used heavily as a seal of endorsement of honor and integrity, even as he or his campaign continually use the phrase son of a Marine for his credibility, Brett Shavers wrote. So Brett Shavers' son Clyde, who's running for office, is even like, my dad is a Marine, blah, blah. And the dad's like, don't bring me into this.
Don't bring me
motherfucker."
into this, you son of a bitch.
Clyde's dad continued, there are no words that I have that could come close to overemphasize Clyde's negative review of the military, his disdain of enlisted service members, and his revulsion to wear the uniform. Brett reportedly sent the signed letter on Sunday to the campaign of Greg Gilday, Clyde's Republican opponent. The text was then circulated to local outlets, including the Daily Herald and Herald Net.
Okay, so when I first saw this story, I thought maybe the dad is disgruntled. Like in some way, the dad's disgruntled. They had a falling out. After going on and reading more reports, the more local news, which shout out to local reporters, there was more information that came out about old fucking Clyde. So now I'm firmly in the dad's camp. Firmly. Let's keep going.
Brett Shavers went on in his letter to allege that his son is also only tied to the 10th legislative district by renting a bed and breakfast in the area.
I hate that shit. When politicians like Dr. Oz is doing that.
Dr. Oz
and
right
Yeah.
now.
I hate
lives
that
in Jersey.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like anybody, Republican, Democrat, if you got to live in your district, and it can't be
Yeah.
moving there. Like Herschel Walker's doing the same thing, move from Texas to Georgia. Like people do this stuff all the time. I think that should be against the law. You got to be in the same way that Dave Portnoy has to be in Florida or else he gets taxed for being in New York. You have to live there like half the year at least to be a representative.
Yeah.
So he also claims Clyde embellished his family history and law credentials. So here's like the letter is kind of here. The board said it determined in campaign filings that Shavers claimed he worked as an attorney. But guess what? He never passed the bar exam, folks.
And this
That
is,
not
I mean,
great.
this is just indicative of these people that will move to a different area. They're just fucking stupid. Do you not think that your opponent is going to check to see if you pass the bar when you're talking about being a lawyer? Like that's a one Google search thing. It takes like 2 seconds to figure that out.
Well, also, the Herald found that newspaper found that Clyde did not complete submarine training at all. He was a PR officer. You'd think, public affairs guy. You'd think he would fucking know.
Because he
You'd think
failed
would
out.
fucking know.
He failed out of nuclear
Yeah.
school. That's the only reason why you would do that. To get assigned to the nuclear program, the amount of training and money that the military has to put in you to be a nuclear submarine officer and be the one that's dealing with the nuclear aspect of it is insane. It's like 2 years long.
In the letter that the Marine father wrote, which Brett Shavers said was the most difficult thing he'd ever written, he said he wanted to correct his son's record factually and personally as a matter of integrity. Clyde
Love
Clyde was never a submarine officer, not even for a day, Brett Shavers wrote. Brett Shavers said his son failed the bar exam and should not represent himself as an attorney while making other false statements about his upbringing and family. He has abused it, embellished it, and at times misled people about it, Brett Shavers wrote. Both Harold and Gilday's campaign said they have verified Brett Shavers, Clyde Shavers' father, that he wrote the letter and it's from him. And that has to be like, my parents and I are on very opposite sides of the political fence. I still think it would kill their souls if I was out here.
yeah.
If I was out here lying and they had to like whatever, I think it would crush them.
that would definitely crush them,
It would
especially because you have a
crush
good
them.
relationship. And
Right,
seemingly
yeah,
this guy doesn't have a
exactly.
good relationship, so
I
maybe
mean-
he doesn't care. But
Yeah.
I just
How can you put your
know,
family in that position? It's so shitty. And how can you put your party in that position? How can you
Right.
put like what the
right?
fuck?
Like,
dude?
what are you thinking in 2022? I mean, Jesus. My wife, you give her somebody's name and like their date of birth, she'll tell you everything about that person.
Everything.
Why would people even think like, oh, I'm gonna just tell this little white lie and no one's ever gonna look? They're gonna
Because
look
these
into
are big
everything.
lies.
Yeah, these are
These are
massive
huge.
lies.
My
Yeah.
other thing too is like, how bad do you want to represent the 10th legislative district of
Right.
Washington State? That like,
Because I think this
oh,
is a
you know
state
what?
representative, too. It's not even
Dude.
U.S. Congress.
You know
Oh,
where
wow.
all the pussies at. You know where all the pussies at in Washington State, the 10th legislative district, representing it. That's where all the hot pussy. Like, I don't understand.
I would say
that's
usually
the only motivation.
usually I use this term on Podfather's show, but I want to throw it out to you two. I feel like we got to rebuke Clyde.
Yeah.
Just a straight,
Yeah.
strong
We're
rebuking.
gonna rebuke them.
Yeah, this is the
Let me
first
be
time.
clear.
This is the first time in a long time I've endorsed the Republican candidate, but I feel
But
like
it's
I have
important.
to.
It's important here to maintain your integrity. But I just like to say, like, I'm not opposed, and I would maybe even say I encourage people who've served in the military who are running for political office to bring that to light, because it
sure.
does
You'd be
tell a
crazy
lot
not
about the
to.
person. Yeah, that you're
Yes.
willing to serve your country and now you want to serve further in political office. That's fine. But there is a fine line, and we've talked about it here ad nausea, where there's the a little too far the other way, where it's kind of hero worship to where people think like they have
Yeah.
to then embellish what they did. Like, hey, you served. Like, I don't care if you were a public affairs officer. You don't have to embellish and say you were a submariner. Just be honest, and
Right.
I'll take you and respect you for having the integrity to say that I'm proud of what I did, regardless of what that was.
Oh, yeah,
And not
who's that
just for a
Ohio
personal
guy?
integrity. People are going to know. Like, they're going to
Right,
figure
they're
it
gonna
out.
Find out,
Yeah.
and
you're
then
gonna
you
look like an
worse
idiot.
because you lied.
And nobody really
Unbelievable.
cares what you did.
I'll tell you
because
what.
nobody
But
has
I
any
do love
nobody has
these
any
stories.
idea what any of it means. They don't. I mean, they
just-
don't know the difference between me being a staff
Right.
sergeant and Cons being a captain. They don't know who outranks who.
You wouldn't exactly the fact that like there's such a clear divide in enlisted officers. Most people couldn't tell you what the difference is at
No.
all. I just thought of a great idea that's going to make
You guys
the-
are identical right now. I could never
True.
tell. Good. Oh, a vest versus a hoodie is the telltale
Yeah, that's
sign.
that's the
Okay.
distinguishing factor.
But
no,
he's not
Murray,
Mr. Aloha like I am, baby. Mr. Aloha. That's
Whoa.
right.
All right.
I'm not. But
No.
here, I just came up with an idea right now that's going to make the four of us. It's going to set us up for retirement. We hang out a shingle, ZBT political consultants, and we help all these veterans who want to run for political office. Because if we just help them sidestep these little landmines here and there, they'd be so much better off.
I think we would absolutely destroy the country. I don't think that's a good idea at all. We
I-
are not
I
equipped
like
for
what
that.
I like what Cons is saying. Send me your ad campaign first. I'll roast the shit out of it. I'll
Okay,
tell you
fake the
if
funk, I guess, right?
if it's cringeworthy
Yeah.
or not, if it's too much, if it anyway.
I mean, half
Yeah,
the
I like
people
that
in
idea.
Congress don't know what the fuck they're doing anyway, so what difference
That's
does it
true.
really make? All right, let's
Well,
move
that's
on.
my point. I'm sorry, but that's my point. There's so many people in politics who are idiots. We're not idiots. Like we're not the smartest people in the room, but we're not idiots. No.
We're not idiots, but we're
Sure, Jan.
just over the line. Like if we're doing an idiot PFT and 28 minutes is the failing time, we're coming in at like 27:45, I think.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
just
Hey,
barely making
pass
it
is a
over.
pass.
All right, let's
all
move
right.
on to round number 2. We're going to talk a little bit about North Korea. I actually don't want to go into the weeds with this article that I put on the sheet. I just kind of want to tell you about it and see what you guys
We could sum
think.
it up
Yeah.
by saying they're popping off. Again.
Yeah, they really are popping off. So this is the craziest. North Korea is doing crazy shit. I'm going to run through the little list of it. They have launched 24 surface-to-air missiles over at South Korea that are landing over their natural waters, like their sovereign waters. They're landing inside. That's the first time that that's happened since at least 1970 and possibly 1956, whenever we actually left. They also shot the second missile over the top of Japan. It's the second time in as many weeks that Japan has had to have missile sirens go off where their people thought that they had to shelter in place. Luckily, the missile went over Japan, so they didn't have to do that. Not only those two things, which are pretty significant things in and of themselves, those missile launches at South Korea really ramps it up because South Korea had to volley some back because you just can't let that go unchecked. The third thing that they did, they were caught by the Biden administration, really Department of Defense and like the intel community, of passing through from North Korea through the Middle East back to Russia thousands of artillery shells. So not only are they going after one of our allies in South Korea, another ally in Japan, but they're also aiding probably our biggest enemy on earth right now in Russia. North Korea is about to fuck around and find out from South Korea because South Korea's military would dominate North Korea.
Yeah,
dominate.
And also doing it in such a way that maybe seems somewhat covert. You know, to North Korea, I would just say,
stop it.
Could you not?
Yeah.
Could you not? You know, let's run down the list real
room.
quick. Yeah, really. Let's run down the list really quickly. We're on the heels of a 20-year war that we just got done with. We got a president who's fallen off bicycles. Our economy is in shambles right now. The last thing we need is North Korea screwing around with us right now because especially we have bases in South Korea for those who don't know. So, you know, it's not like we would maybe be able to stand on the sidelines. We'd be directly involved in this pretty quickly.
Can I tell you my theory on this real quick?
Yes.
You know, the people of North Korea are extremely in the dark. For the most part, they have no idea what the fuck's going on except what they're told. And they, like, drink the Kool-Aid because what the fuck else do they know? Like, they
have no choice. It's the only drink they can have.
Maybe they're starting to get a little squirrely. There's a lot of sanctions, whatever. People are starving. The prison camp, whatever. People are getting real squirrely. So Lil Kim was like, "Ah, shit, I gotta do some shit real quick
Lil
again."
Kim.
So then he fired off. He's like, "Boo, boo, boo, boo," and all the people see the missiles.
Ripping heaters too.
He's like, "The people that have been holding us down, we just fucking took care of them. I just shot off 24 fucking missiles. You're welcome, everybody. Everything should calm down." And now he's gonna send out some extra rice bags around town for a couple of weeks, and he's squashed whatever upset's going on. I think it was less for show of the international community and more for show to his own people to make them think he just won like a little war or something real quick. Okay. That's what I would do if I was a Supreme Leader.
I think that makes sense, kid. I think I would do that too.
Not an idiot.
Overall, we just want to say, fuck Kim Jong-un. Like, I think we're
really.
officially a fuck Kim Jong-un type of podcast, and we are not going to make any apologies about that whatsoever. So before we leave round 2, another reminder, fuck Kim Jong-un. Let's move on to round number 3. Kate, what do we have here?
Oh, we're heading on over to Twitter, folks.
Oh, buddy.
Buddy, what a mess that's been recently. A Twitter employee shared a photo appearing to show his boss asleep on the office floor just days after Tesla CEO Elon Musk took over the company. The photo shows Esther Crawford, director of product management at Twitter, wearing an eye mask and wrapped up in a sleeping bag on top of a sleeping mat on the floor of what looks like a conference room.
Let me just say, I don't know. I understand what's going on here and that it's a big deal. But the way that I view Elon Musk is like when a new battalion commander, a new sergeant major takes over for a unit where he's coming in, setting up like this is not going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be difficult. And then it gets a little bit easier after that.
Yes.
But I understand that this is a difficult position to be in for the employees. You take a lot of the sympathy away of what I would normally offer you when I find out that you're sleeping with an eye mask. Like, is it an eye mask that covers the eyes, or is it like Alex Bennett wears that so you don't have bags under their eyes? I can understand if it's the light one because I assume all the Twitter buildings are going to have those lights that go off. That's super annoying if somebody walks through in the middle of the night like a cleaning staff, so you have to have it. But if it's the little puffy-eyed things, I'm out and I'm on Elon's side.
Yeah, you got to be on Elon's side. So he tweeted out, when you need something from your boss at Elon Twitter, Evan Jones, a product manager at Twitter Spaces, tweeted at around 2 in the morning, New York time on Wednesday. Crawford replied, tweeting, when your team is pushing around the clock to make dead time, sometimes you hashtag sleep where you work. It's unclear where the photo was taken. Jones's Twitter page says he's based in New York, while Crawford's based in Los Angeles. Yahoo reached out to both Jones and Crawford early Wednesday, but they didn't respond. Crawford tweeted Tuesday that she was very proud of efforts at Twitter to quickly shift gears and bring this new vision to life. Staff at Twitter have been clocking up longer hours than usual since Musk took over, with his team assigning them big tasks on tight deadlines. Some staff at the company see the assignments as a test by Musk's team to see who works hard and worry their jobs could be on the line with the looming threat of layoffs.
That's basically the story. That's essentially the story. Cons, let's see. What would middle manager cons or even higher level cons? What is your approach when Elon comes in and says that he wants to have everybody with these insane hours?
I kind of take your approach, what you already said. Like, listen, I don't think this is going to be sustainable for the long term. We have to respect him as the leader of this company and management that we have to follow and fall in line, because you don't want to just cause a problem simply to cause a problem. And, where are we as a workforce that, listen, I've been in situations outside of the military, in the military. Sometimes you just got to clock long hours. And no, do I think if Elon starts making people sleep at the office, for 50 days a year, is that reasonable? No, not at all. But like once in a while, sometimes that's just what it calls for. And, you got to do other things to boost their morale, keep them motivated. But it seems like these people are excited about whatever vision he's taken Twitter and the direction he's going. So I'm okay with it.
Here's what I think. Okay, what do you think?
I think it sucks if you're a parent because you don't want to lose your job, but you don't really have a fucking choice. Like, I'd be fucking stuck. I don't know what I would do.
That's a good point.
So that sucks. But and I feel like it's kind of like when you have a shitty leader who makes things extra like that, when really it's probably not necessary. It's like we don't have to do that. We could just work hard and do normal shit without whatever. I feel like it's a dog and pony show kind of.
I think it's important. I don't think he was like, hey, you have to sleep at the office. Like, this person under their own volition made the decision.
Oh, no, he pretty much did. He said that all the people should be working 12-hour days for 7 days a week for the foreseeable future to get Twitter where it needs to be.
I've been in that situation before where I worked.
Sure, but that doesn't make it okay, I think. I think that's the same adage as the military. Like, it was difficult for me, so it needs to be difficult. Here's the way that you get around that. You come into it, that things have to change and things have to change drastically, because I read a report from Forbes that already, since he's taken over the valuation of the company, they're going to lose $1 billion at least this year. Last year, they lost $380 million. Twitter did before this sale goes. Now advertisers are pulling out because Elon Musk, he is a divisive person. He's a divisive person, so advertisers pull out. They estimate that it's going to be a $1 billion loss. If you're having that and you have the money of Elon Musk and you want to turn it around, say you're going to work 12-hour days on a voluntary basis, and if you do it, we are going to have the percentage that you stay overtime. We're going to increase your pay. So if you have to stay a third longer, your pay should go up a third. Have those people that are on salary, make them want to work for you. That's the reason why Barstool doesn't lose talent. By and large, Barstool doesn't lose talent because they pay very, very competitive where people don't want to leave. You do that same thing at Twitter, nobody says shit, really.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And the scenario that I was referring to and remembering back from one of my earlier jobs outside of the military, it was just I didn't, because I'm not a person that says you train to time, not to standard. I'm a big you train to standard. So that's where I said I don't support saying hey, you just have to stay for 12 hours. Well, what if I get my shit done at 9 and then I just decide I can come back early tomorrow morning and I live 10 minutes away, where there's no reason to be sleeping at the office. I think the optics of that, that's, maybe he thinks that looks good, but I don't think that's good.
You tie your mouse to one of those oscillating fans.
Yeah.
And so that if they're tracking it, looks like you're constantly moving your mouse around. That's what you do.
I completely agree. Today's show is also brought to you by our good friends at Rhoback. Rhoback is an activewear brand that makes high-quality hoodies, polos, tees, hand down the best fit and best feel. If you're watching on the YouTube, which you should be, and if you're not, go to youtube.com. Type in ZeroBlog30 and subscribe. But we have the Rhoback hoodie on. Look at this thing. It's light. It came in the mail. Had a nice little note for me. I loved it. I showed my wife and she was like, dang, that feels so nice. It's a little bit stretchy, but it's going to keep you warm, but not too hot. That's the thing with a lot of quarter zips. You're going to get way too hot. I don't like that. I don't like feeling hot, balmy. These are the perfect perfect weight for a little bit of fall here in San Antonio, or those late cool nights if you're going to be hanging out at the beach or doing whatever. These things are fantastic. The best polos, the collar doesn't get all bacony and messed up. They're everything that I've ever tried from the joggers. I can't say enough about the joggers. The joggers are unreal, folks. I wore them bad boys on the plane, and I swear to God, they were trying to do some things to me. And just go use the promo code 0 at Rhoback.com for 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com for those military types. Romeo Hotel, Oscar, Bravo, Alpha, Charlie, Kilo.com. That's 20% off on all polos, quarter zips, hoodies, and tees with the promo code 0. Make sure you check out their gear because trust us, it's life-changing. It's fantastic. It's the best hoodies in the biz. Let's move on to round number 5. What do we have here? This one's a pretty quick round. Anytime that there's a sky penis, we're going to talk about it. That's just the way it's going to go.
It would be a huge miss if we didn't. We have to. In a move that was hard for the Russians to ignore. In a move that was hard, thick, and veiny for the Russians to ignore.
And it had a purple head.
In a move that was fully engorged for the Russians to look at.
And a move that involved pre-nut.
In a move that scattered pubes across the Russian plains, an American military aircraft pulled off a ballsy maneuver near Moscow's base in Syria on Tuesday night.
I like how Politico's just dick goofing.
I bet it's a treat for them. Yeah. I bet it's just a nice little...
Yeah, they're just tired of all the other BS. So they're like, you know what? This is what we're talking about today.
I bet they fight each other tooth and nail to get the sky dick beat.
Because the other stuff that they report on is just depressing as hell.
Yeah. Oh, I got the sky dick. See, I call Shotty on the sky dick.
They probably have like the yak wheel who gets to write sky dick.
Yeah, who gets to write the sky dick stories. A KC-135 Stratotanker aerial refueling plane drew a sky penis in the vicinity of Syria's TARDIS. Right in the TARDIS. That's a Kremlin naval facility in the Mediterranean, according to Politico. It is not known whether the plane took off from Crete to refuel fighter planes or if the pilot simply had one job, taking the piss out of the Russian ground crew. The world, anyway, I love it. I love a good sky penis.
I do too. And the next part of it.
To say about that. I wasn't sure if this was part of it.
No, it is. The world has seen a deranged tyrant make threats of nuclear weapons, and they just had some jets that supposedly had the Killjoy nuclear missile that was close by. They said that they spotted it inside a dirt berm. So that is important to bring up. We're still just like, even though you have that, we don't care. And they've said that because of where it's at in Belarus, that possible nuclear weapon, that if it's in Belarus where they say it is, it has a maximum effective range of around 1,200 miles. The UK is 1,050 miles from where it's at. So technically, the UK would be in range for a nuclear missile strike, and that's dangerous as shit, obviously.
So it is kind of nice to have a sky dick for everybody to have a quick little chuckle.
Yeah.
All right.
Anytime there's nuclear fears, you have to do it.
Let's bring a little air back into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's essentially what's going on there. I saw a tweet. Let's move on to save rounds and alibis. I saw one tweet that I wanted to ask you guys. Is it more important in a PBJ to have peanut butter or jelly? Which one is the star?
Peanut butter, because you could have just a peanut butter sandwich, but you couldn't. No one's doing just jelly.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, the peanut butter, you have so many more options too, aside from just different flavors, but, chunky, creamy, almond, and all the list goes on. But also, too, it prevents the bread from getting soggy. So to further Kate's point, I think
but
the
weird,
peanut butter...
though, if we're talking donuts, it flips cons. You get
Yeah.
jelly donuts, but not peanut butter. Very strange.
Yeah, true. But have you ever had a peanut butter and jelly donut? I think that would change the game. Oh, you have?
Oh, I haven't. I would love to.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
So
a
good.
peanut butter and jelly cronut would be unbelievable. Our next question I saw, which is more athletic? These are kind of questions that cons like. Which is more athletic, a rat or a squirrel?
Oh, squirrel.
Yeah, it's a squirrel, man. He's got so much more versatility up there in that tree. He can really extend his vertical. He's got a very good gait. It's a squirrel.
I don't know. Sometimes I thought about it. I think rat might be pretty good too, simply because the terrain that a rat can operate is much different than where a squirrel goes. You could see a rat in the middle of the desert. You're never going to see a squirrel there.
I mean, I've seen a rat Philly dragging a whole extra long cheesesteak down a set of stairs,
Listen,
and you're like,
Lest we
"Wait a
forget
minute,"
about
with
Pizza Rat.
the little cigarette in his mouth.
I'm not saying
Holy
rats
shit.
aren't a level of
Rats
athletic.
kinda
Like
hot.
I see rats as kind of like fullbacks, and then squirrels more like DBs or receivers.
I think squirrels do parkour, whereas rats do CrossFit.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
That is a good.
I
Yes,
would
I
agree.
absolutely see that. I absolutely
Yeah.
see that.
All right, cool. Let's go to regular save rounds and alibis. Nick, we'll start with you.
Just wanted to touch upon the Elon Musk talk you guys had before with
Yeah.
kind of like the hours in the day. So for me, I think when you have that type of money and you're in that position of power, like I feel like there's no way you're going to have people working like 10 to 12 hours in 2022, like optically. I think it's all like a big social experiment for him to see who's going to stay and who's, and like I think he's just taking like, you know, like inventory of what he has. I think that's like step one, because it just seems so unrealistic. Even myself, and I'm a little bit of a hardo. Like I like going into the office. I can't stand people that have the option, and especially non-parents, of course. I'll just make that clear, Kate, to support your cause as well. But like you should want to be in an office, like and you know, feeding off everybody else's energy. I think there's something there, and I think he probably believes that as well. But I definitely think a lot of it's just optics early on. Like it's all optics to me.
The nature of the job matters too.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. And I feel like when you got some of the brightest minds at Twitter, and regardless of what people say about the people in that building, they're probably very smart. And I would bet they do a lot better when they're working together in the same room, whiteboarding, doing things like that, brainstorming. And I'm sure that Elon's done that over his wild career. To me, it's just like a social experiment. I think things will go back to normal. I think he'll backtrack a little bit here, just because there's so many benefits to being able to work from home too. It gives people fluidity. People are healthier. They're, you know, there's just the pros outweigh the cons. So I just think it's a total optics play by him, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you know, 6 months down the road you're walking that back.
Yeah, I just think too, and I think the four of us, you know, coming from prior to Barstool, you know, in whatever jobs, and especially in the military, we have like an innate work ethic, and you know, all of us, I'm sure, had that work ethic even before the military. But I think, and I don't know what the demographics of Twitter's workforce is, but I think given the last couple of years, and then also, you know, given maybe the age of Twitter's workforce, I think the default to like working hard is working longer hours, if that makes sense, right? Like you almost have to like impose a work ethic on younger people until they learn work ethic on their own. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
That was Old Man Yells at Cloud 101.
Yes.
That was my God. And all this shit about, I let you go, but I was like, this old motherfucker
Do you
right
understand
here.
what I'm saying?
Old
Do you
boomer
understand what I'm
cons.
saying?
Yeah, I understand what
No,
you're saying.
come
I
on.
think it's an antiquated approach. There was an article that came out, peer review article, that said when people were at home for COVID, their productivity was actually higher, depending on the job. Like, obviously, content, Kate couldn't do
Dude,
the
I
yak
always
from
get,
home.
But I
No,
always
but I
get
think-
more shit done here than I do at the office. I always do. When I sit here and I dedicate like a morning to, I'll get 5 blogs done here in a day, and it'll take me that long to get.
I do
that
think
in
it's
2 weeks
industry
at the office.
I do think it's industry dependent. You look at some industries that are making people go back 3 to 5 days a week because, to Nick's point, some industries, some jobs you need, I think, are better in person. There are other ones that are better if you're, you know, doing a hybrid, whatever. Everybody's different. I just think in an effort to teach maybe a work ethic that was lacking at Twitter, I don't know. I've never worked at Twitter, but it may be.
No matter how
that
many
is-
ways you rephrase it, Cons, you're still going to be an old man.
One more thing. You can also mask productivity by being at home. Like, there are a lot of people right now that are moonlighting. They're working 3 jobs, and like, as an employer, you don't want that, right? Like you want 100% of your employee. So I just think there's so many.
You
different...
get that when you pay a living wage.
Yeah, I mean, but I no, that's 100% true. But like, some people are doing the bare minimum of jobs where people who are opportunistic don't have those opportunities either, and they can sit there for 5 years and just have that career and never be questioned or ever be pushed. And I think there's something about that as well.
All right, Cons, what do you got?
Speaking of Twitter, El Duderino tweeted at us, "Hey, my question, my grandfather fought in World War II and brought home stuff. in parentheses, Nazi stuff. Is it cool to have it on display in your basement/bar, or is that screwed up?
I feel like that could be a good initiative, bad judgment situation. It depends on like how you set it up. If you set it up with a picture, the only way you could get away with it, setting it up with your picture of your grandfather in his uniform saying that he's a World War II guy, like that he's a World War II veteran, and then putting like a picture of where he fought, and then you can have it out. But you can't just have Nazi.
Yeah, you don't want Nazi propaganda for people just walking out of your basement bar.
No.
No. Anybody who has that shit out, I listened to podcasts like somebody, this guy went to, he was trying to buy a new home, and he went into the home. He was doing a house tour, and the home was covered in Confederate and Klan memorabilia, and it turned out that home belonged to like the chief of police in the town, and he was like, oh. Yeah, and the chief of police was like, I just appreciate the history. It's like, then you need some other context with that, pal.
You could be a person that really appreciates the history, but you gotta know, like, appearances is the actual thing. Like, you can't look. Appearance is reality. Like, it really is in a lot of ways. If you walk in, you see Nazi shit, you're gonna be like, this motherfucker's a Nazi.
Yeah, I don't think
seriously. I think it's very dependent on about what it is too. Like if it's a uniform or maybe it's a weapon. I don't know. It's very dependent on what it is as well. I think
it definitely can't be the armband. Like no way.
No.
Especially these days too. People are trying to test.
Sometimes I have a few drinks and I put it on my own arm. Oh, okay.
I mean,
you see that guy in Brooklyn on Halloween who went out in full Nazi costume, and he put on a Nazi uniform. And was going into bars, and he was like incredulous that he was getting kicked out of bars. It's like, dude, you're lucky you're not getting your ass beat right now. Like,
I mean, the KKK and white nationalists put up a sign from like a projector on this side of Everbank Field in Jacksonville during the Georgia-Florida game, like in the middle of it while DeSantis was speaking. I mean, it's fucking crazy. Like the way that people are like, oh, well, maybe just a little bit. Nazis aren't bad. Just a little.
No, they're fully
insane,
bad.
Man.
Yeah, it's
they're
a slippery
fully bad.
slope. I would say just don't have anything Nazi. I would just not.
Probably for the best, Eric. Maybe keep that stuff in a closet and be like, hey, you want to see stuff my grandfather brought back, and provide all the
Order
context
a military
before you
footlocker
show
and put it in. Just put a footlocker in there and put it in there. Kate, what do you got?
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry, I have two more things.
Oh God, Gons, what do we got?
It's a long day. Whoa, Kate, you go ahead because there's noise going on right now. No, we're good. All right. Yesterday, our colleague Joey Camasta from Out and About Pod, great show. Check him out. He got one of the new Pirate Dog flag hats, and one thing he pointed out that I hadn't thought about, but I realized as soon as he said it, he was true. It's a great hat because you can really sweat in it, and it's not one of those hats where the sweat stains and you can see it, so it absorbs sweat really well. So that's good. It's great for golf.
Yep.
And then finally, Beat Air Force. Army's got Air Force on Saturday. We are repping the 1st Cav Division, my old division, so I'm excited about that. Big game down there in Texas, so Beat Air Force.
Catherine?
Oh, Phillies lost. Hopefully, by the time this episode is out, they have won, and then they go on to Houston to win the final games. I'm just really hoping for some wins there. I've been actually following sports and paying close attention, which has been pretty neat. Getting back into music and sports.
I feel like what happened to you last night is the worst way to get no hit. Like if you run up against Justin Verlander and you get no hits, like okay, the starting pitcher just had his shit. But having multiple pitchers come in and shut you the fuck down, I think is worse.
It sucks too because the night before it was like a home run derby for us. We were just hitting dingers out there, and then
snip snap.
It's just such a roller coaster of a series so far. So I honestly don't know what to expect going forward, but it's been fun to follow. We'll be doing streams on barstoolsports.com.
Good news is you guys wearing your powder blue uniforms tonight, right?
Yep, wearing the powder blues. A little kickback to a previous World Series. So anyway, thinking of that, my son is sick and was up all night last night. I mean, you think the military's tough. You think you're like tired and awake. My God. Tougher than the U.S. Marines that boy is. Anyway, I'm trying to think what else. I guess I got nothing. Again, November 11th, that game's coming up. We got a lot of veterans who reached out about tickets.
And I actually have some information about that. That's what my
Okay.
save round is going to be. So it's the Barstool Sports Invitational. It's going to happen on November 11th, which is actual Veterans Day. It's going to be at the Wells Fargo Arena in Philadelphia. There's 4 teams playing. There's going to be 2 games. Mississippi State, UAB, Toledo, and Akron are going to be there. And we're giving away tickets. There's a bunch of tickets. Not really a bunch, but there's enough for you to go if you go fast. We're giving away tickets to veterans through vettix.org. That's VETTIX.org. Earlier, we said that we were going to handle it through our DMs. The demand was too high. Like, I can't go through that many demands, so I just had to go fucking check all. Everything's red. If you want to go, vettix.org is where the tickets are. And if there needs to be more, let us know. If you run out, none are on Vettix, DM me then, and I'll get more added. That's the way it's going to go. There's also going to be entertainment like Yak halftime show, the Fan Dozen trivia, merch giveaways, and 2 $15,000 half-court shot contests. It's going to be a great time. Make sure you come and hang out. Me, Kate, Cons will be there. The whole Barstool crew, almost every single content creator at Barstool will be there.
Kate, are you playing in the Yak basketball? Because I have something
Yep.
to say. If
Yes.
I have a suspicion. I've played basketball with Dan before. He's a pretty decent basketball player. But taking him out, and Brandon's old and fat and not much of an athlete
Big
anymore.
tits, yeah.
Just based on the videos I've seen of everybody else, I think you're probably the best basketball player, aside maybe from Dan.
I'll tell you, people forget I can ball.
They do.
I can. So I'm
People
looking forward
forget
to
that
it.
you're a great athlete, really. Like golf, like even when you go out there and golf, you don't golf often, but it's 150 yards, 175 yards down the fairway every time.
I'm sneaky competitive.
Very
I feel
sneaky.
like
No.
I can't lose.
I don't think it's
No, I don't
anything
think it's
sneaky
sneaky
about
either.
it. There's
I
nothing
think you
sneaky
try to
about
tell
it.
jokes, but in reality, you're very competitive.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll be back here next week. We have a huge week for you because it's going to be Veterans Day, and we have some big interviews that are coming up, I think on Tuesday, if not Tuesday, Friday. We'll see you then. Sound the Retreat.